Welcome to Pathways to Success at PGCC. And now here's your host, Professor G.
And greetings, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Pathways to Success at PGCC, where your freedom to learn gives you a fast start on living your best life. And I'm really pleased, honored, and privileged to welcome this lady to the program. She is our new provost here, Dr. Patricia Armstrong. But even before she came back to Prince George's County, and that should be noted, you were in Chicago, but you have ties here. You were born here. You have an affinity for this region. So welcome to the campus, and talk about that little journey right there within the whole context of your life experience before we go forward.
Sure. So my father served his country in the military. He was in the Air Force, and he was actually a fighter pilot in Vietnam before he taught others how to fly and then ended his career. He had a great job. He was the personal pilot to a couple of different generals and just drove them all over the world. And this for, a farm boy who grew up in the Depression in South Dakota. But how I came into the picture, which is obvious, was as his daughter. And I was born on what is now Joint Base Andrews. I am the youngest of three daughters, and I was born on an Air Force base, and we didn't live on the Air Force base, but I went to preschool and elementary school here in Prince George's County, Randolph Village Elementary. I don't think that the school exists anymore, but I still think there's an area called Randolph Village. And then you can imagine, because my father was in the military, I then moved around a lot as a child, and then kind of had that wanderlust as an adult, and thanks to my education, which my father's career was able to help me afford, I, as a first generation college student, got to live in Scotland right after graduating. I had a fellowship, and then I ended up getting a PhD in French, and so was lucky enough to live in Paris for 3 years. So it is interesting that when this job came open at Prince George's Community College, and I told my sisters, they're like, wow, what are the odds? Like, what are the chances that you could be moving from Chicago, which is now my home? I love Chicago, to come back for this amount of time that I'm here, which is, for a good long while here at Prince George's Community College. So I'm so happy to be here, and am really loving reconnecting my roots, going back to DC, going back to some of the places that I visited with my parents and sisters up until the age of 6, which is when I left, and we moved to California for him then to prepare to go to Vietnam.
But this is a great way to sort of reconnect with your community, isn't it? I mean, you come back, you feel a certain spirit when you get back here. Now you have an opportunity to influence the lives of individuals through education here at the college.
It sure is. And my path here is not a typical path. I did start at colleges that are private colleges and have selective admissions. And when I made about midway in my career, made the switch to community colleges, I did so because I thought it was so important for me to use my time, talents, and treasures, as one of my former bosses called it, in really helping a community, and particularly as a first-generation college student, with very different circumstances from those of our students. We all have individual circumstances, really understanding how key education was to me and getting where I am and having those experiences that I just told you about. I wouldn't have lived in Scotland, and I wouldn't have lived in Paris if it hadn't been for education. And we have students who are going to save lives because of their education. We have students who are going to invent things because of their education. We have students who are we have a new financial management AAS, and we have students who are going to be prepared in a couple of years' time to help their fellow community members navigate what can be a very scary process, financial advising, financial management. And so I know from firsthand experience, and I know from having been at commencement ceremonies, and I know from having seen the tears and the laughter and the hoops and hollers from the families, how important it is for our students, for themselves, for their families and for their community to do something that they feel really passionate about and where they feel like they're really making a difference. And that's the great thing about community colleges, is that we have so many points of entry for so many different types of students from so many different circumstances. And, Prince George's Community College is the community college for this very large, very diverse county. And I am delighted that we have students who are as young as, 14, 15 in our early middle college, as old as they want to be, right? In our SAGE program and everywhere in between, and that we can meet the community where they are at our University Town Center and our LCC Center. So it's just like, the community college puts its arms around the community, um, and welcomes them in. And I am so proud to be a part of that and coming back to where it all started for me, literally.
Well, let's talk about the layers to your vision, because it's defined as the chief academic officer,
Mhm.
and you're there to lead PGCC's efforts into innovative and meaningful opportunities.
That's
Can
right.
you define what those opportunities, both how they are innovative and meaningful?
So I want to just give a little bit of the structure because that'll be helpful. And I do talk with my hands. So if you see my
Good
hands
thing.
pop up, that's just who I am. So, as chief academic officer, the first thing that I really think about is the programs that we offer to our students, and really think at kind of a programmatic level, and making sure that we have programs both in the credits sphere that lead to a credential, and then in the continuing education sphere, which can mean many, many different things. It could mean that you're just upskilling. It could mean that you're getting an additional certification or credential in order to do a different part of your job. It could mean that you're pivoting. It could mean, like with our very successful notary program, that you are adding something on the side that helps your community. So I really think about programs that we have in place, programs that we should have in place, and kind of the viability and the health of our programs. And it is so important for community colleges like Prince George's Community College to have programs that are responsive to community needs. Are there jobs available in these programs, whether they're credit or continuing education? Are there employers hiring people in these jobs? Are these jobs going to pay a family sustaining wage? You will sometimes hear it as a living wage, and you're going to hear me say family sustaining wage because I realize so many of our students are here in order to provide for their families, and their families could be composed in many different ways. And so I first think programmatically, are we providing the what people want, what people need, what the community needs, and what is going to help them be successful on their own terms, in terms of being, financially stable and providing that family sustaining wage. So, but when we think about that program, so some of the innovation, Professor G, comes with making sure that we are meeting the demands of the times. If you look at the explosion um, of programs in the information technology space, you'll see that, 5 years ago, we didn't have programs in cybersecurity or in cloud computing, but now we cannot not have them. And I think you can imagine that faculty and students and the community are waiting to see how we're going to respond to generative artificial intelligence, right? And so that is a space for us to be innovative. But some of the innovation comes at the second level that I think about, and that is the instructional level. Do we have folks who are up to date in the areas that they are teaching? Are we using innovative methods in order to support instruction? And to that end, I can just tell you a little bit about innovative technology that we're going to be experimenting with starting this summer and fall. And we don't yet have the contract, so I don't want to use the proprietary name, but it is a means by which a faculty member in her classroom doing authentic work with her students can have a device it's a very simple device. It's one that we all have in our pockets, and that can kind of capture how that instructor is engaging her students in the activity of learning, and can use what she ends up seeing via that device in kind of a coaching model. Like, what did I do that I would want to do again? What do I notice when this third eye, if you will, that's very unobtrusive, kind of helps me see what I'm doing? And it reminds me of working with the dean of faculty at one of those four-year institutions I worked at, and I did what was called a video consultation with her. So back in the day, we would bring in a video technician. There would be lots of equipment. We would take videos of people teaching, and when she turned her back to do writing on the board, and this one was like very high up in the hierarchy, she said, "I didn't know my bottom wiggled so much when I wrote on the blackboard." And so you also get to see how you look to your students, and how you're engaging your students. And so that's an example of something that was brought to me as provost. It was brought to me not as a cool thing to use, but as a way that we could help instructors look at their teaching. And I said, sure, we can find the relatively small amount of money, but significant money in our budget to do that innovation. And so also just making sure that our faculty at every level in our, our know how to use Zoom in a way that is engaging with students, know how to use Canvas in a way to communicate appropriately with students and engage them in their learning. So some of that innovation is not just in program development, but in what a former colleague used to call program deployment, how we are getting folks engaged with that material in the classroom.
Okay, I wanted to talk about your definition of success for an incoming student. And I guess there are going to be layers to that answer as well, because you've got so many people who are coming in different missions, as you mentioned in the past. But overall, big picture, how would you like to see the thumbprint of this college on a person who walks in as compared to when they walk out?
So I am 100% committed to success as something that is very individual and very personal and self-defined. We have so many forces in our society telling you that looking a certain way means that you're beautiful, that driving a certain car means that you're successful, that having this, that, or the other is what defines you as a person and what you're worth. And I don't agree with that at all. And the thing that is so beautiful about Prince George's Community College is that you can come in at 14, at 72, as somebody who is a displaced federal worker, as somebody who is just tired of what you've been doing and want to do something new, and find a way to reinvigorate yourself and to meet your own sense of success. And part of that has to do with well-being and with being your whole authentic self. And so to me, that thumbprint, it's like a fingerprint that is unique to every individual. That what we want to do at Prince George's Community College is give you the choices that you need and the support that you deserve to really to define yourself in relationship to our programs, in relationship to our curriculum, in relationship to the activities that you can engage in outside of the classroom, and to be with like-minded people who are not going to define the success the same way as you, but who are on a similar journey and experiencing all that we have to offer in a way that makes sense to you. And I'm very, very committed to that.
Dr. Patricia Armstrong, you left me just like kind of overwhelmed, and I do apologize for that. But she is our provost, and she is innovative, and she has a game plan, and we are so glad that she took this opportunity to spend some of that time with us. And welcome to the community, welcome home, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have significant impact around here. And I look forward to being a part of it.
I sure hope so. And I thank you for this opportunity to talk with you. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us on this edition of Pathways to Success at Prince George's Community College, where, remember, we give you that freedom to learn as you march towards your best life. Till next time, I'm Professor G. Mark Gray. Be safe.
Thank you for watching Pathways to Success at PGCC. For more information about Pathways at the college, visit our website at www.pgcc.edu.